Alrighty, what's up, fellers? This is just gonna be a really short video. I know a little while ago I kind of mentioned saying I was gonna do some videos on like very basic tool stuff, just kind of like introduction to things. So one of the ones that it seems to give people trouble is the Flver editor tool. It's actually Flver, but I call it Flver. So that's just how it be. So we're just gonna kind of like discuss the basics of that really quickly, how it works, navigating it if you have never done it before. So just kind of like somewhere to start. What the tool does is it opens up the Flver model files from the Souls games. It can be used to import models into it and that kind of thing, make edits, though it is very limited, but we'll just show you rather than explaining it right here. What you want to do is you want to use Yabber, which is for unpacking DCX files. I can do a video on that too, but I think I covered it pretty well in the basics video. But what we're going to do is we're going to double click, since we have our shortcut attached to this, to unpack it. We're just going to click all the way into parts here. And right here we have the Flver, I call it Flver. What we're going to do is we're just going to drag and drop it onto the shortcut for the Flver editor file executable. That was something. How about a brain fart there? To get the shortcut for it, you would just open up the file directory and just make a shortcut of my SF format exe on your desktop, and then you can just leave that alone. This is the broken straight sword from Dark Souls 3. Feels like it would be decent enough for explaining things here. So there are a couple of buttons here, a couple of numbers here. This is the bones for the object right here. These down here, this text is what defines these fields. You've got modify. Modify is what actually saves or like activates the changes that you make, like it applies them and saves them. Material is where you would go for applying textures and material paths to something. So you have all of that information right here, which you don't usually have to touch. Going into edit, you have all of the different textures that are applied to this specific mesh right here. This specific item has one mesh, so you see only one here. If it was a more complex item like armor, it would be broken up into multiple different indexes, like say shoulder pads, and then the chest plate, and then the chainmail, and then the like sleeves, that kind of thing. Any changes that you would make in here, you would click OK and it would apply them. JSON mods are the button you press if you make any changes to the text down here, which is what would apply a different like material type thing to it. That's a little bit more complicated, but in most instances, for Flver stuff, you would just want to use the default stuff. Especially for anything Elden Ring related, there is a default template that you would want to use. This is just kind of showing you how things work here. So we would back out of that. And then mesh will kind of show you the actual objects themselves. In this case, like we said just prior, there's only one, and it is the sword as a whole. We can click check on it. So say you have a bunch of different pieces, you can click check to highlight and make sure you know what it is you're looking at. There's also this neat little button right here that's like usually hidden. It's called toggle backface rendering. If you're importing a model, that's generally something you want to do to it so you don't see through the inside of it. We'll leave that alone though. So over here you've got some options for making little changes to the model itself. Yeah, rotation, translation, and scale. Rotation obviously does rotation. Translation is moving it. Scale is scaling it. Scaling, if you make any adjustments and you want size as a whole to be even, you need to make changes to each box and have them be the same. So say you want it to be 10% bigger, you would do 1.1, 1.1, 1.1, and click the scale button and then click modify to do so. For translation and any of these, it's actually the way that these works is this is the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. So the x-axis will do translation. So x-axis, if you have ever been in school or anything like that, moves it left and right on a invisible plane. So a positive value will go to the right, a negative value will bring it to the left, and then it will be the same thing for the y. This is up and down, so we'll do -5 for instance, and that will drop it way down because I didn't do a decimal. So just a good tip here, use very small values for this, like 0.5 or 0.1 kind of thing. We brought it back up by just doing regular 5 instead of -5. And then the z-axis is front and back. They are also represented by the colors here. So the red axis is the X, and then yellow is Y, and then the blue back there is Z. So that'll push it back and forth depending on if you do a negative or positive value. Rotation, if you do anything with rotation, just always click rotate in degrees. If you don't click rotate in degrees, it's just a weird mess. I think it rotates in like radians or some shit. It's not worth trying to figure that out. Just do yourself a favor and rotate in degrees. And then it'll rotate in whatever set of degrees you have set. So 45 degrees. It rotated it back 45 degrees. And then say we want it to go back to what we had before. -45 degrees. There you go. You can navigate in here by left clicking and just dragging the mouse to rotate. And then if you want to actually move up and down, you need to hold your scroll wheel or middle mouse button, and that will allow you to move up and down, left and right, and that kind of thing. So there's that. So as far as navigating the Flver editor here, that's about as far as you can go with mesh here. So let's back up and go, say, down here we've got import model. If you've seen any of my videos on doing models, you know that we use this button to import a model into this Flver file. Export, you are exporting the Flver itself into a model in the day format. Dummy is for the dummy values for the weapon. So that's, you know, that's that. I don't know how else to explain dummies other than the fact that they're the dummies, you know. So I think as far as just talking about Flver editor goes, that should just about cover it. So hopefully that's helpful. I get people asking on like how to do basic stuff sometimes, so I figure I'll just kind of follow up every once in a while here with some videos on that kind of stuff. So there's that. Hopefully it was helpful for you.